energizer. She's my energizer. Every morning, every day, baby, you're my sunshine. Give me the power, give me the strength, give me the energy to rise. Never see myself living without you. Every single little thing I need to get into you. In my body, baby girl, you electricity. I can never throw away this opportunity. And to wake up every day with enough energy. To love on you more and never to drown. Go pretty thing, baby, the bam bam bam. Go pretty thing, baby, the boom boom boom. Go pretty thing, baby, the bam bam bam. Go pretty thing, baby, the boom boom boom. Do you mukas and the pass up bam boom. She's my energizer. Live mukas wa mena makwana. She's my energizer. Do you mukas and the pass up bam boom. She's my energizer. Live mukas wa mena makwana. She's my energizer. 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 Move to the left, move to the right. Shock it, show me your energy. Find your body like a ragga dancer. Let's have them boys, them girls want this. Move to the left, move to the right. Shock it, show me your energy. Find your body like a ragga dancer. Let's have them boys, them girls want this.
7:57 on now, the Power Breakfast. My name is Patrick Jaffarm. We're joining the Queens of Breakfast this morning, and we do have our special guest in the studio. He's a performing artist, edutainment expert, social entrepreneur, award-winning humanitarian. He's also the first and only artist to be name-checked by none other than Barack Obama.
Catch the Power Breakfast, Monday to Friday, 6 to 10 a.m.
6 o'clock in the morning.
With Shekinah and Fortress.
Good morning.
The Queens of Breakfast.
Good morning to the none other than B-Flow. Good morning.
Good morning, Patrick.
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Good morning to you, Fortress.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. For those who don't know it, who's B-Flow?
Well, that's a very difficult one. Do I know myself that well?
Tell us.
Well, B-Flow is a lot of things. Real name, Brian Wembia. Born in Kabwe. I think I've spent a lot of time in Nsaka now. And in terms of description, I think I am an easygoing guy who loves a lot of things. I love life, and I love my country, and I stand on what I believe in. What else would you like to know? I come from
can you speak Nyanja?
very small family. Nachinyanja timakamba.
Okay. Can you speak Tonga?
Namba orajitonga. Nechibemba ndalanda.
Chibemba, yes, we know you speak Bemba.
Nako nakubulela silozi.
Okay. How many languages can you speak?
Maybe a bit of Norwegian, and a bit of me I chat a little parts, you know. A little parts are from Jamaica, you know.
That's what's up. How was it to be name-checked by Barack Obama?
Wow.
The first things to be in the White House.
Wow. So unbelievable. In that moment, I was busy pinching myself about the realization that I was in a country that, in my wildest dreams, I never imagined I would ever step in. Because growing up, I never really imagined that I could even go to a country like Malawi, like just our neighbors here. Yeah, because there were no such examples in my family and in the community where I grew up. So I didn't see people flying out or jumping on planes. Yeah, the most I imagined was I can go to Nsaka during my school holidays and visit my uncle, and that's it. But when I started playing basketball in my teen years, we made a trip to Nsaka. And for me, that kind of gave me some motivation. I realized, like, okay, it's interesting that you can travel because of your talent, you know. But I still never imagined that I would cross, borders and just go overseas. And then one time I had an opportunity to travel to Botswana with General Ozzy. I was like, oh, interesting. So it's possible that you can actually travel out of Zambia, you know? Yeah, but being in America, I still never imagined it. I think growing up, when we would watch some of those music videos on black and white TV, where, you know, like cars are dancing and, you know, they're vibing to the hip hop music.
West Coast.
Exactly. You know? So I was like, America? No, there's no way you can be there. So I never imagined that. So being in that environment, I was in disbelief about being in America. So I didn't think much about being in the same room as the president because I was still trying to digest the idea of being in America, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then on top of that, being in the same room as the most powerful man in the world at the time, like the president of the US. And then apart from that, he actually gets to name check me and also to offer, you know, like a partnership in terms of working together. And so all that.
Did they give you a heads up? Did they tell you he was going to name check you?
No, but what happened was there's a lady called Caroline Jacobs, if I'm not mistaken, who called me while I was in my room because first we had to be in uni to just study a field that you, like in my case, it was civic leadership. So while I was in that college, I received a call one day from this lady, Miss Jacobs, and she said, "I'm calling you from the White House." I said, "Oh, interesting." And then she says, it was a bit unbelievable though, yeah. But then she says, but because of the environment I was already in, because I went under the auspices of the State Department.
Yes.
So I sort of believed her when she said, "I'm calling you from the White House." But then she asked me, "How do you pronounce your name?" And I said, "Which name?" I said, "Brian." They said, "No, your last name." So I said, "Wembia." She said, "Repeat." I said, "Wembia." She says, "Repeat." I said, "Wembia." And she says, "Oh, okay." That's what I wanted to know.
Okay.
So when that happened, then I realized. Yeah, when that happened, then I realized, okay, I think that's why they were trying to get the pronunciation of my name. So when Barack Obama went like, "Brian Wembia," I was like, I see.
That's me. That's me.
I see about
I'm
that phone call.
Do you feel like you have gone past the imposter syndrome where you feel like you don't belong in a place, but you are there? You just can't believe you're experiencing those things that are happening in your life. Have you gone past that though?
I think in a way, yeah, in a way. Because also, you know, when you come from humble beginnings, some things are really difficult to believe, but at this point I think I've begun to accept that all those things that I went through had a meaning to my life, but also I feel like I've had some sort of a leadership journey. When I trace back my roots, I look at me being a member of the Child Rights Club in 7th grade, becoming president for the Anti-Drug Club in school, becoming president for the Anti-AIDS Club, being appointed school head boy, and now president of the Zambia Association of Musicians. So I've come to accept that there are probably some leadership qualities in this young man.
We wanted to walk you slowly into that.
Okay.
You've jump-started the conversation. Let's talk about the Zambia Association of Musicians. What triggered you to stand first things first?
So I've been a member of the Zambia Association of Musicians for about 21 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I first joined in 2004 in Central Province. So yeah, because it's got provincial structures. Yeah, so at the time there was a man called Cox Piri. He's still in Kabwe. And another one by the name of Victor Mulongoti, and they used to organize these events for up and coming artists or emerging artists. And I participated in one of those competitions, and I was the first runner-up. And so that was the entry point for me to become part of the association. And over the years, I started paying attention to the activities in the association, especially as far back as 2009, during the time of the presidency of Maureen Lilanda. And then in 2010, there was a transition that happened where Michael Zulu took office and became the new president for the association. He served one term up to 2012, then he got re-elected and also served up to 2014. Then around 2014, there was a lot of confusion in the association regarding the way forward and constitutional issues, until with some intervention from the National Arts Council, a new leadership was finally elected, which was a bit controversial as well because some of the members didn't even know where the elections were. Yeah, so then Njoya T took office up to about 2018. Then Tivo Shikapwasha came in. So during the time that Tivo was coming in, I had wanted to run for the ZAM presidency. Yeah, but when Tivo stepped up, I was like, he's a solid man. So I think let's leave it to him, let him do his thing, and we'll just support him. And then in the process of doing that, some people suggested that I stand for the position of publicity secretary.
Right.
Which I wasn't very comfortable with. It wasn't something I was ready to do. So I ended up serving for about 6 months, and then I resigned.
Why were you not comfortable?
I wasn't very sure about certain things because a lot of the people that we are now serving were very new to the association. Like they literally just joined and they got positions, and I felt like our visions were not aligned. Yeah, so I ended up resigning. Then shortly after that, the person who was serving as treasurer, KB, also resigned. Then later, another person who was serving as research and documentation secretary also resigned.
So there was a lot of confusion.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion, yeah.
Is that still the case now that you've assumed the top position?
No. And I'm not trying to blow my own horn, but one thing that has been happening in our association is the lack of constitutionalism in terms of leadership, where people have not respected their tenure, their term of office. It's supposed to be 2 years, but everybody has always gone on to maybe 3 years or 4 years, and that's what's been happening. So I think we came with the promise of, abiding by the Constitution and not abrogating it, and that's exactly what we're trying to achieve, and I believe that we'll do something great for the association. We also give thanks to everybody that has served and for all that they've been able to do for the association.
And I'm sure the question that is on every musician's mind, what is going to change that now that you have taken office?
Great question. Something has already changed. People are now paying attention to the association and the affairs of the association.
Yes.
So I think in terms of visibility, that will change. I understand that a lot of people decided to actually shun the affairs of the association, even the artists themselves. Lots of our, the ones we call veterans and legends, like Ricky Lilonga was still there, the Witch Band, we've got Jagari Chanda, you have the likes of the Sakala brothers, Moses Sakala. We have so many veterans like Sarah Jones, the Bishop Band, Amayenge. They have not been actively involved in the affairs of the association in the recent past because they couldn't relate to what was happening. And also when you're being led by people that are not really in your industry, I think it's a bit difficult sometimes. And I'm not trying to throw shade, but
I want to throw some shade. Go ahead.
But the idea is, if you're going to lead an association for DJs and you're going to be at the top, at the helm, you better be a DJ, because then you're going to be the face that
of the
people
brand
will be able to recognize as a DJ. If you're going to be in an association for radio presenters or let's say music promoters, you better be a music promoter. Yeah, but if you're going to be the head at the top and you're the face of the association, but you come from a different field, it becomes very difficult for the people in that field to relate. The lower offices, the other offices, can be occupied by different people, especially professionals in accounts like treasurer and whatnot. But the face has to be someone in the industry, and I feel like that's the reason all these legends like Amayenge, Sister D, and everybody else have come back to the association. Yeah.
Let's talk about...
So we give it the visibility. Okay. That's good. But I think a lot of other things will change. We can still talk about them as we go on.
All right.
Well, what are some of the changes that you envision to undertake?
All right. So I look at the manner in which a lot of artists have gone after they have enjoyed some fame and they've touched money in the industry. But the embarrassment that comes with some of our send-offs are really quite concerning when you look at how artists are buried and how we're always asking for help. Yeah, so I look at policies like, pension. I'm looking at policies like insurance. Yeah, we're looking at things that will be able to sustain the artist, and also a lot of capacity building in terms of financial literacy.
Yes.
Because that's been a problem, a very big problem. I was just having a conversation. I have a podcast called Flowback, where we get to talk to a lot of artists from yesteryears. And recently I just had a conversation with someone like Chameleon, and he was talking about how there was no one to teach him how to spend his money, or just to give him even just some nuggets or some information, because everybody looked at him as he's a superstar and he knows what he's doing. But he says, I used to make money every weekend on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, like a lot of it. And then after all is said and done, I looked back and I said, where did the money go? Yeah, so we're starting capacity building trainings. As I speak, we're already talking to the banks. We're talking to microfinancing companies. We're talking to financial literacy experts. We're talking to NAPSA. We're talking to insurance companies, just to try and do something for the industry, something unprecedented, something that has never happened in the industry. And we believe we're achieving something. The conversations are going really well. We also hope to pay a courtesy call on NEMA as well, just to see what type of partnerships or MOUs we could come up with.
And also, a lot of artists have been penetrating through the international markets. Let's talk about Nigeria. They have, the Grammy Academy has created a whole category for African artists. And as the Zambian music industry, do you think we are now at that level where we can maybe contest, or maybe some artists can be nominated for, let's say, an international award like the Grammy? Can we go that far?
Yes, we are. We are at that level, and we can go that far. If you look back, Zambian music was and is international. You look at the days of Anna Mwale, those are exports. Look at people like The Witch now. We've finally exported The Witch. You go back to the days of Larry Maluma, penetrating regions like Australia. And that's huge. Back in the day, even music for people like in the mid-90s to the late 90s, Daddy Zemas was mastered outside Zambia.
Yes.
Because they understood the importance of quality. And then eventually, I don't know what happened at some point where the market got saturated and we were just doing music everywhere in our bedrooms and whatnot. And then there was this influx of talent, very good, but we couldn't really control the standards. But if you remember, even the days of Mondo music, even how music was packaged was proper. Then piracy obviously affected us, and then the way we were producing music, no quality control. And then now we are at a stage where even the ones who own studios of their own, they now produce quality music. There's good quality music in Zambia. And the numbers have also increased, whether it's on YouTube, on streaming platforms, even Spotify, that we never really made use of back in the day. We're doing pretty well. A lot of our artists are now in the millions on all these streaming platforms, and people are making money genuinely from their streams. Unfortunately, the record label business had sort of dwindled in the recent past. I'm not sure what was happening with that part of the market, but of course they had their own challenges, which I may be aware of, but that also has died down a bit because the world is shifting towards empowering independent artists. So now artists are figuring it out on their own, and slowly they are penetrating the international market. We've got the likes of Sampa the Great doing really well for herself. We've got artists like Roberto doing really well for himself. We've got several artists who are pushing outside, whether in terms of collaboration. We've had attempts at being at the Grammys, whether it's through people like even Ben Blazer, who produced something that got nominated, or Wezi, who featured on a song that got nominated from Jamaica. So we are at that stage, and I believe that we will get it right once we fix our systems.
Now, Biflo, there's also a talk about lack of originality in our music. Like, we don't have our own sound.
Identity.
We copy whatever comes with a wave.
Yes.
Now we are waving on the Afrobeats wave. We don't have anything that we can showcase
We're
to the
riding on
world.
the Amapiano even.
Yes.
I'm telling you, that's true.
Is it something that you're hoping you can fix during your tenure?
It's the bitter truth. Fortunately and unfortunately, the association also advocates for what's known as artistic freedom. And artistic freedom entails that people have the freedom to go whatever direction they want with the music.
Yeah.
The only challenge that I feel we are facing as an industry right now is we have lost our identity in terms of understanding what our role is, because we are supposed to influence the change, but we are letting other people influence the change. And so what we do is we hear a song by Davido or you know, which example can I give? Techno, whichever artist. Burna Boy or South Africa. We listen to what a South African artist is doing, whether it's Master KG, and we're like, that sounds so cool because it's playing in the clubs, and you're like, oh, let's give this to the people because that's what the people are dancing to. We forget that we actually have the power to influence and create a sound that everybody else can actually follow. I paid attention. I was listening to a Cameroonian artist recently who was playing Kalindula, which they credit that they got from, it's a sound they got from Zambia, you know?
Zamrock.
Yeah, and people are playing Zamrock today, which is from Zambia, meaning we've got the capacity to influence change. So I think that we shouldn't run away from what has worked for us. We can take advantage of the Zamrock wave, which is global. We can also take advantage of the sounds from Kalindula, which we still have. You know, we can take advantage of what we once laughed at. We were laughing at the dunka dunka at some point. We're saying, oh, the Zambian music is just the dunka dunka, and everybody ran away from it. But if you look at the dunka dunka days and the numbers, look at artists like K Figo. To this day, she's unbeaten. She's got over 20 million views because she penetrated Central Africa. Mampi, from the sound that she made when she did songs like Sweetie Didi, which were Dunka Dunka. This radio revolutionized the whole Dunka Dunka thing, you know?
Yes.
And the likes of Baska Baska.
Digital X.
Yeah, all those songs like Nyamuka Nyamuka, all those songs. If you go on YouTube and read the comments, go to the comment section on songs like Nyamuka Nyamuka, Sweetie Didi by Mampi, Kanyelele by K Figo, several other songs, you will see the countries, Guinea, you know, Sudan and all these countries where Zambian music literally penetrated and artists were doing shows there. And then suddenly it's not there anymore because we've literally lost our identity. So I think we need to go back to the drawing board and take advantage of what has worked for us.
All right. And streams. You have been an advocate for monetization.
Yes.
Yes. Let's go into that conversation.
The big elephant in the room.
Yes, so monetization is part of our campaign promise, and that's something that we are determined to achieve for our country. There is a lot of work to be done.
Maybe first things first, explain to us what is monetization for an artist? What does that mean?
So monetization basically is being able to get value for the entire music ecosystem and ensure that everybody earns money from everything that they do with their music. If you're going to create merchandise around your brand and your music, you need to get paid for it. If you're going to make an appearance at an event, you need to get paid for that. If you're going to put your music on any platform, you better get paid for that. Yeah, so there's a lot of work to be done in terms of education, even just for the people that sit in the highest offices in our country, in terms of people that can pass, whether it's the policies at policy level. I realized that in my conversations in some of these offices, everybody literally asks, but what is this same monetization? So like nobody really knows what's going on. All they're hearing is, there's a high demand for this monetization. But what is it? Are you guys not already monetized? Are you not getting paid for the shows? I say no. There's a lot to be done here in terms of having our own streaming platforms where we don't have to end up paying international taxes. Also opening up Zambia, because apparently there are issues of tax treaties that were cancelled in the past. There are issues to do with platforms like PayPal. So there's legislation on the end of the Bank of Zambia. We need to have conversations with ZRA in terms of taxation. There are issues to do with legislation. We have to go to National Assembly, pass laws and SIs that would allow us to be able to open up our market for platforms like Meta, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and many other platforms, to start YouTube, to start paying the artists. Yeah, so right now, in order for you to get paid, really you have to go through a lot of agencies.
Are we a long way?
Intermediaries.
Is B-Flow getting paid?
Yeah, B-Flow is getting paid because his music and his platforms were monetized in a different region.
Okay, explain that to us.
Yeah, so I opened my Facebook page in the US.
Okay.
My YouTube channel too. So when you're about to, so I don't know how I can explain this. So when you reach what they call eligibility, you've got the 4,000 watch hours that you need, that's for YouTube, or you've got 1,000 subscribers, and YouTube says you're now eligible for monetization. The moment you start to enter your details and say, I live in Woodlands Extension, house number ABCD, Lusaka, Zambia, then you get flagged. Immediately, then that's when you receive the strike that says you are not eligible for monetization, or
not in this region.
Oh yeah, this is not available in this region. So, and I've seen a lot of people get excited. Look, I just got this notification saying I am now qualified for monetization. So does it mean I'm starting to earn immediately? No. On the back end, you need to now fill out your details, especially your tax information. So the tax information part, that's where everything just goes backwards. And the only way you can do it is if you are going to travel to, let's say, Australia or any other monetized country, a country that appears on the eligibility list.
Right.
In Africa, it could be a country like Kenya,
South Africa.
I think Ghana is monetized.
Nigeria,
definitely. Nigeria is monetized as well, yeah. So you have to be in a country like that and enter the details of that country. Say, this is my address, this is where I live, and then you will get monetized. Again, once you start earning, this has happened to me before. So you start earning, and you are, let's say you are in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
Which is on the eligibility list, and you're earning while you are there. The moment you just arrive in Zambia, 2 days later, you just receive a notification that says you are no longer earning money from Facebook because you have moved to a region that is not monetized. The only other way to beat this is you need to have maybe an admin in another country, in a monetized country.
So where we are sitting on now, can we...
B-Flow is beating the system.
Literally.
Yeah. where we are sitting on now, how can artists benefit from streams, the money they are making now? Are there any platforms they can earn from, or it's just a no-go area?
Yes, there are platforms. So for independent artists, now that we don't have record labels in the country, everybody can take advantage of the DSPs. These are Spotify, Deezer, YouTube, and many others that pay, iTunes, Apple Music, many others that pay. But for you to get on those, you can't do it. You can't go platform by platform. You upload your music, the next day you're uploading on YouTube, the next day you're uploading. So you go through an agency that will do it for you. So some of them include, there's one that's called CD Baby, there's one that's known as TuneCore, There's another one called DistroKid, and there are several others. This is something you can just Google. Like, how do I upload my music on streaming platforms and get paid? The good parts about using these platforms is that they will connect to your bank account. And there are people, we've got professionals in this country that actually know how to go about these things. I can mention people like KB, Able Black, Hosta, Mzenga Man, and several others that know how to do these things. And and we definitely consider them to be a resource that we want to utilize even in the association. And part of the capacity building that we're going to start doing is to bring artists in one room, including those that have made music in yesteryears, but they don't earn from it because they never put it on these platforms. But people still want to listen to that music. Because of the nostalgia that comes with the memories associated with that music. And some research, actually, when the collar ringback tone culture was introduced to our country, the research shows that the older music actually sells more than new music when it comes to such platforms. So we need to get everybody back in the room and then let them understand that they can still have their music on these platforms, and this is how they can go about it. So we bring all these professionals to come and talk to them and show them how to go about it.
Still on the issue of our platforms, what's the addiction with our artists with Boomplay?
Well,
which I'm told doesn't pay much.
Right, it doesn't pay at all, especially currently. So for the past 3 years or 4 years, Boomplay hasn't paid any single artist in Zambia. Maybe they've paid those that have maybe sold their rights to them, and maybe they had an exclusive deal or something, but they haven't been paying artists. So right now, it's either you protest and you don't put your music there, or you find yourself your music there maybe because of the agency that you use that already has these distribution rights to put on over 150 platforms, and so Boomplay happens to be one of them. And a lot of artists have now realized that this is a ripoff and nothing is happening. I think the addiction stems from an incentive that Boomplay had put in place a few years ago. There was a time when they were giving people plaques.
Yes.
And I think those plaques excited a lot of people.
Yeah.
After, when they were celebrating 1 year.
Were they gold plaques?
Well, I don't even know. Maybe they were platinum. Maybe, I don't know. Platinum Boomplay standards.
We thought that was translating into money, though.
That's what we all thought, because we thought that that's monetization now. We thought 1 million streams means some thousands of dollars. That's what we thought. But every time I feel victim. Every time we ask the question, so how much is 1 million Boomplay streams equivalent to or worth? And nobody answered that question. When you try to inquire via email, nobody replied to that email. If you ask people around, like, oh, hey, I saw you receiving a Boomplay plaque and you celebrated. How much did you get paid? Everybody says, well, the money hasn't yet come. And then 2 years, 3 years down the line, people still haven't gotten paid. And then we're wondering, then the contact person that we all had at Boomplay is no longer reachable. So we can't reach the person, and nobody really knows what's going on. The last time we asked fellow artists in Zambia, they sent us the same contact and we tried, and it's not going through. So it is what it is.
I quickly want to take you back to the issue of record labels. Does it concern you now that you're Zam president, the fact that we don't have record labels?
Yes, it does. And I think it's important to start having conversations with high net worth individuals who could be passionate about the industry, conversations with the government, and conversations with the corporate world about the need to set up our own record labels, because not having these systems is also part of the reason why the world doesn't take us seriously.
Because we don't have that element of the ecosystem.
Yes, exactly. So I think that's a very important conversation. That's why I really want us to start having these capacity building trainings that will also help build the capacity of even artists that are no longer doing music today but have the capacity to step into these platforms and become record label execs and everything else.
Why do you think the record labels that existed didn't work out?
Because in this country we haven't respected contracts, and so the artist felt the record label was stealing from them.
Extortion?
Yeah, and then the record label felt the artist wasn't loyal and they will just be there until they get an amount of fame, then they want to leave and do their own thing and start managing themselves. And that's been a trend. Yeah, so there's been this confusion. I've had conversations with artists. I've also had conversations with people that have owned record labels, and this is what I hear. No, there's no loyalty. I know these record labels promised that they will be shooting my videos, but they never paid for the videos. I ended up doing it myself. Or they kept me on a waiting list. The others will say, oh, well, they only empowered one artist, maybe because the artist was related or connected to the owner of the record label, and this is the one they spent money on. They never spent money on me. So, and that's why we need those gatherings where we can sit in one room and iron out all these things. What really happened? What went wrong? What was your experience running a record label? And what was your experience being under a record label? Where did we fail and where can we do better? Then we pick it up from there. All
right. You can be part of the conversation. 0955 997 997. Hello, good morning. All right. Or 0979 192 485 in case you want to ask some questions to Biflo, who is the Zambia Association of Musician President, who is currently with us on our breakfast show. Now, there's also a conversation around upcoming artists. Some upcoming artists feel like they are not given opportunity to buy already established artists. And recently, one went viral who got scammed because he wanted to collaborate with Roberto. Yes.
He got scammed.
He was scammed. he ended up paying money that he wasn't supposed to pay because the person said he was supposed to pay 12,000. So
did he pay to Roberto or it was an intermediary?
It was in an intermediary, but the person was a scam on the other end. So he ended up paying 8,000 because he wanted it to be lowered. So yes, so he ended up getting scammed, and he felt that there's just a way that already established artists overcharge upcoming artists. How can they be maybe an opportunity for them to collaborate with maybe you, maybe your maps, maybe another already established artist, so that we can move together?
Yeah, I'm praying that we manage to achieve our goal to get to what we call mandatory membership in the association. When we get to that and we have established artists and emerging artists in the same room, I think then we're going to create opportunities for networking. And that's why those capacity building programs are important, because our idea is to bring Anna Mwale or the Mwale sisters in the same room where you have Roberto, in the same room where you have Floxy, who you don't know, in the same room where you have Towela Kaira, in the same room where you have Nyarai, who you don't know. Yeah, so that networking begins from there, because my experience also growing up in the industry is people just never said yes immediately. I remember wanting to feature JK, and he just never agreed there and then. It took a bit of us spending a bit more time together at the studio at Roma side, getting introduced by TK, networking, for him to finally say, oh yeah, I'm going to feature on B-Flow's song, Temene System, because we now know each other. Yeah, so, and then also, there are so many things that happen in this industry, and some of these things may sound petty. You hear, people feeling like, oh, they're trying to take our space.
Yeah.
They're also feeling like your time is up. It's now our time. So there's a certain rivalry that exists naturally when they don't spend time together. They all have these thoughts in their minds where they're thinking, no, this person is the reason I am not where I'm supposed to be, because they are holding on to this space. I need to get there. And then there are other people that feel, this guy is so entitled. He thinks I can just jump on his track, And this other one is feeling, these guys are not helpful. How come they're in this position? They're not even creating legacies, because a proper legacy is one where you're able to empower somebody and look back and say, I helped such an individual and such an individual. And yeah, so big up to every artist that has been able to empower other artists. I look at a person like Slap D, maybe he doesn't get enough credit for putting others on. He's created careers for many people, and we should be grateful for a guy like him. We should be grateful for a young guy like J Cash, who's put Dismo on, and Dismo is coming up.
Yeah.
We should be grateful for every person that has given an opportunity to another, whether it's through a feature or signing them to grow under their wings and all that stuff. Yeah, so I just think that these opportunities to put artists in one room are what will heal whatever situations have been there, and that will make it easier. I know artists like Makitu who can literally jump on a song without getting paid because maybe they saw a snippet of it on social media.
Right.
And just goes like, I love this song, I want to jump on this song. Like the example of how Makitu listened to a demo from Yo Maps and said, he's the next big thing, I would like to work with him, and told him to come to Nsaka, sent him money for him to travel, jump on a bus, and they were able to record a song, and the rest is history. That can happen, but not everybody has that heart to just say, I love that talent and I can jump on it. Yeah, so we need to put them in a room and be a bit deliberate about these things. We also need to teach people the importance of creating a legacy.
So beyond the capacity building, where do you hope Zambian music will be in the next 10 years, 10 years?
In the next 5 years, 10 years, I want to see Zambian music on international platforms. We are getting there, but we also need to see Zambian music getting the recognition that it also deserves, whether it's at continental level, at awards, African award shows, and Western award shows, be it the BET. We want to be at the Grammys. We want to be at all the international awards as well. Yeah, so that's where I envision Zambian music, and that will happen as a result of the systems that we are creating for us to qualify to be called an industry. Yeah.
Another thing I hear a lot is the fact that Zambian musicians do not rehearse enough. We tend to do a lot of playback. We shy away from live performances.
Yes.
Yet that's where the cheese is.
Yeah, that's true. So those capacity building programs, those are rooms where we need to sit down with people like Ben Blazer, who believes in live music, who is a good sound engineer, people like Ringman, who own sound systems, and we can then have these conversations and say, how best can we help? Sit down with people like Ricky Lilonga, the Great Witch Band, who are touring the world with live music, and sit down with them. How have you achieved this? How can we also achieve this for the contemporary artists? And yes, it's true, we've lost that culture. We are so digital. We are so digital that we think we can just do playback or we can do lip syncing, and we get paid for that, but we don't realize that we can get more money. A lot of artists, though, have also complained. They've lamented that the people that organize shows, the show promoters, would rather pay a foreign artist millions of kwacha for performing live and subject a local artist to a playback performance, because that's what they are willing to pay for. So when the local artist says, I want to play live as well, but you need to pay me my worth for live music, the promoters are saying, no, we can only pay you what we know we consider to be your worth.
But isn't that the fault of the artist, though? The fact that you're digital. You're digital.
Yeah.
And you don't take the effort. You don't make the effort to do live performances.
Yeah, in part we are to blame, especially now that we have access to a bit of money in terms of the money that we make from the shows. Now we get a lot of corporate endorsements, endorsement deals where artists are paid some reasonable amounts of money that they can reinvest in their craft and start buying live equipment. I think at this point there's no excuse. If you have an artist like Danny Kaya who's invested in his live music and he has successful festivals and he
doesn't do playback.
He doesn't do playback, and he doesn't even need to do a new song. He's still, benefiting from his previous songs, then we have no excuse. We need to really learn from people like him, and that's why I want people like him in the same room with everybody else to come and share that information and how they've been able to achieve that.
Now, you were also talking about live performances. With what I've noticed, I would say gospel musicians really go hard on live music.
That's true.
They love playing it live music.
Because the church has the facility.
Yes.
To rehearse.
And then there's you who's doing...
Especially the Pentecostal churches. They have the live instruments. They invest in that. And these guys literally rehearse at church and then they go and do the shows.
And there's also you...
Then they outshine all of us.
Yeah. And then there's you who's doing this type of music as well, secular music. So there's also an aspect of togetherness. You did talk about why this one is feeling some type of way. I would love to quote that. I was conversing with a Nigerian music and he was talking of how they are very united. Wherever they are going to go, they are going to acknowledge each other that we are Nigerians.
And we can see it.
But then for us Zambians, it's each for their own. Why is it like that? And how are you going to make sure that we all come together as a collective and as we will be going to the Grammys or any other big awards, international awards, they are going to recognize us as Zambians? Yeah,
but it's a systemic problem that has been there since time immemorial. I think that the jealousy and the me, myself, and I attitude has been there, I think, from the time of independence. I think it's been there in this country where we are literally a country that won't celebrate anyone. We don't have people we can call our heroes. The moment I'm going to mention that Simon Nsaka Pwepwe did this for this country, someone will come and say no. But the problem with him is that he also did A, B, C, D negative things. If I'm going to mention Kalusha Bwalia is a hero in this country. He won us the 1988.
Okay, I think we have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm well, thanks.
Okay, who are we speaking to?
This is Mponga.
Okay, go ahead with the contribution.
So I have a question for Mr. Biflo.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, thanks.
So here's my question. Why has ZAM failed to establish a proper distribution platform for musicians over the past few years, and what steps are you planning to take to approach this differently?
I didn't hear the first part of your question, just the first part.
Why has ZAM failed to establish, a proper distribution platform for musicians over the past few years? And what steps are you planning to take to approach this differently as newly elected ZAM president?
Okay, thank you. Did he say streaming platforms?
Distribution platforms.
Distribution platforms. Right. Okay. All right. So, first of all, ZAM has a mandate, a specific mandate, which is to safeguard the interests of musicians. And it's established by an act called the National Arts Act. And we have limitations in terms of the things that we can do. So there are certain things that we don't do. And many times people mix us up with ZAMCOPS, Zambia Music Copyright Protection Society, whose work is mainly copyright, intellectual property, but then we are like their supervisor, because for us, we're looking at the entire music ecosystem. We're making sure that ZAMCOPS is functional. We're making sure that artists are getting, their earnings or their money from the streams. Why we have failed to, as an association, maybe to push the agenda of creating all these platforms, distribution platforms that we once had. I gave the example of Mondo Music, which was there. I think that we have stayed away from building our system because, like you said, we've been about the me, myself, and I, and everybody has preferred working as an individual and doing their own thing and not working together. I think that's where we lost it, and that's the reason I was talking about bringing everybody together, whether you're a gospel artist, reggae artist, traditional artist, contemporary artist, hip-hop artist, and working together, because at the end of the day, when I talk to a gospel artist, their cry is the same. They're asking me, what are you going to do for gospel artists for us to start earning money from selling our music, because we are no longer producing CDs.
Yes.
How can we get monetized as gospel artists? The reggae artists are saying the same thing. The hip hop artists are saying the same thing. Yeah, so we need to push that culture, and I think that it was also important to build the image of the association, first of all, to make it attractive enough to the corporate world, to the government, and to all other stakeholders, so that when we talk about investing in the arts, they will see the need to do so. And that's the agenda we are pushing, rebranding.
Okay. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Who are we speaking to this morning?
My name is Simeon Joe. I'm from Kanyama Service. I want to ask Mr. Biflo a question.
Please go ahead.
Jerry, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the same ZAM, as in how, as artists, we are going to earn money via the distribution platform. Then you guys, they don't like teach artists on how we can go through, like reach out to you guys. How can we do that?
Okay, many thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you able to repeat the question for me?
I think it still has to do with the distribution
platforms.
Right, essentially.
Okay. And maybe how you can be a member of the association.
Right.
Please visit our Facebook page. I wish I could share numbers, but we're still in the transition stage. Normally, if you go to our Facebook page, you will be able to find the bank account for ZAM. And you can actually pay through a booth, and then once you pay, you can send your proof of payment to a number that's on the ZAM Facebook page, and then you become, your membership is activated. Essentially, every musician in Zambia is a member of ZAM, but you need to activate your membership by paying your annual subscription, because that annual subscription is what we will be using also to pay for your insurance and other things, and then we'll talk about the other modalities as we go on.
Talking about payments, how can you make sure that they don't get scammed again?
Okay.
They don't end up sending to the wrong number.
Yeah, so it's not a number, it's a bank account number that's on our Facebook page. When you go to a booth that has a point of sale machine, once they enter the account number, they'll ask you to say, does this account belong to, they will read it out. It shows in the system that Zambia Association of Musicians. Then you put a reference, you put your stage name under reference, or you can say, for example, Biflo subscription or Biflo ZAM membership as your reference. So then we'll see it when we look at...
Does it come with a card? The membership?
Yes. So once you send the proof of payment, we'll process a membership card and also a membership certificate.
As we wrap up, Biflo, what's your appeal to artists out there, upcoming and current?
Come home. Come back home, because whatever is starting to happen...
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
He's appealing to the corporate. I see what you did there.
Yeah, come back home.
Yeah, come home and you will not miss out, because at home is where the food is. At home is where
the heart is.
The heart is, and everything nice is at home. When you are a part of ZAM, then you will be able to benefit from everything that's coming, because the corporate world is now knocking on our doors and they're coming in. The government is coming to work with us. Everybody is coming. NAPSA is coming. The insurance companies are coming. And so whatever benefits will be there will be for the members of the association. So come and activate your membership immediately, because now a group of artists, 2 groups of artists are creating theme songs for corporates, and these are facilitated by Zambia Association of Musicians. So there are so many opportunities that are being created, and you can only know about them when you're inside, in the house. Come home.
Biflo, we thank you for coming in this morning on Voice of the People.
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, Fortress. Thanks for having me.